Hello, it's Lucy. You are so welcome back to the bindery for a look through the next journal that's going up in my Etsy shop. It's another open spine journal. This time it's got two signatures, each of which is bound in ribbon, and the ribbon is then tied together over lace panels which hold the front to the back cover. So it's very loose, it's got lots of room to grow. As you can see, there's a lot going on at the top, the spine, and the front and the back. And this one is called The Quiet Sea. So I've been wanting to use some seaside images and seasidey watery colours for a while, and now it's time. So aside from the journaling card, or the card you can put your name on the front, there's a picture of a woman looking out over what looks like a very calm sea. So it's not a sort of seaside shells and lighthouses and octopuses version. It's more about trying to capture that feeling of what it's like to be by the sea and how it can calm you and still you. So we have bling on the front as usual from Reclaimed Jewellery. We've got this journaling card and various layers of embossed waterproof paper and printables and some original ledger. And there's some lace used here and throughout. So once we get into it, in the front cover it's made with a pocket in it, so it's got a pull out sort of full-size journaling card in the front cover, and that's made with some printables and some vintage book paper which has been painted with metallic watercolours, and that's been used throughout. Some more printables, and it's all layered up with some bits of vintage journal and some vintage broderie anglaise. So a really big journaling card which just tucks very pleasingly. I don't know why that pleases me so much, but it does. It tucks very pleasingly into that pocket. And then we have one with a, I'm going to say the word flap there, which has got some document printables, some wallpaper printables, some original vintage ledger paper, and it's got one of my little frames clipped into it, which obviously you can use wherever you like. I have managed to get a pretty ridiculous amount of stuff into this journal, so whoever gets it, there's a lot of bits and pieces for you to play with. We've got some upcycled sari silk ribbon here with some blingy bits, and then some eco-dyed paper here, and as well as a printable. And this is a printable of a vintage letter. People keep talking about French letters on the on various videos I've seen about this, and I don't know how many people know that would be an old-fashioned English, probably sub-Victorian term for a condom. So anyway, it's got a French letter here which has been aged up, and it's got a really nice grungy wallpaper printable on the back, so you can write there. And this one flaps out this way, so we've got vintage photo on some handmade card, which is a journaling card in that pocket. And there are quite a few of these images of watercolours of the seaside, and I really like the loose effect. Well, I like watercolours anyway, but I really like the looseness and the calm this gives. This one's been backed with some vintage ledger. So when you close that fold out, there's a pocket here with a sort of long thin, I guess it's like a tag, this one, a journaling card with another of those loose watercolour images, vintage ledger, and some more printables, and it's got some of that lovely chiffon ribbon that I used in Angels. So that just slides into the printable vellum pocket. Now this is an original piece of French document on this gorgeous soft blue paper, and you can see there's some embossing or debossing there. It's probably debossed from that side actually. Hope the camera's picking that up. So that's a really lovely piece of original vintage ephemera. So over here we've got some of that paper that's been painted with metallic-y watercolours, and I love the shimmer, and just a bit more shimmer in some fabric and some lace. And then another from a set of vintage photograph printables, and that's on some dictionary paper, which I've altered again with some more of the metallic paints. So you can see here, this is the centre of this first signature, and it's just simply a loop of ribbon. So if you wanted to, you could slide some other things in there. You can't take pages out to rearrange because I've had to reinforce the binding hole there with a bit of calico, but you can easily put some other bits in, or sort of slip them underneath and in between if you want to. So we have another, I think this is gorgeous, this photograph. Some children having some time by the sea with, I don't know if she's a governess or a mother. I reckon she's a governess, looking a bit apprehensive. And who wouldn't be with 3 under 6s to take to the seaside? So that's there, and that's the other side of that document. This is another bit of that printed vellum, which has got another gorgeous vintage photo in, and that's been backed with some wallpaper printables. There's a really useful video on Ruby and Pearl's YouTube, which I'll link if I remember to, which talks about the different kinds of paper that she prints on. And I bought some of the linen paper that she recommends, and I don't know if you can see, but you get this really nice texture, the linen-y texture, which is particularly good for if you're a vintage wallpaper printable. It helps give it the look, and the aged look and feel. So I'd recommend that video and trying the papers she recommends, because they are very good. So another lace pocket with another watercolour, and that's got some vintage ledger on it and some more of a lovely ribbon. This is eco-dyed paper, and there's a tuck spot here with an original vintage postcard, the harbour from Port Methlon, St Mary's, Scilly, and it's written on, as you see. Just tucks in there. So that's the end of that signature. This one starts with another printable from Ruby and Pearl. It's got a little pocket in the lace there for a teeny tiny journaling card, again with an image of a quiet sea, and the pocket's made with a couple of layers of lace, some white and some, it's actually sari decoration trim. So inside there we've got a pocket with a repro postcard, and that's backed with some more altered dictionary paper and some more printable. Here we've got another piece of that beautiful, lovely textured vintage document. I don't know if you can see some of the texture in the paper, but all this aging is real. And I've attached to that one of the bits of printed and marbled paper folded up, so you can use that as a letter or a note or some secret journaling. These are never good to try and close them up in a hurry. Now you might be able to see that this printable is on that linen-y paper. I don't know if you can see some of the texture in the paper. And on the other side there's a repro French ledger. Some more of that lovely sari trim there. and a journaling card which has got another pocket in it with a bit of ledger paper, so layers of pockets there. And this is an original vintage holiday photo, which I absolutely love. That's in the top bit. And here we've got a repro vintage envelope, which I've backed with another printable, so it's a writing space for you there. You see what I mean about there being a lot of stuff in here. Another journaling card. Those look more like mummies and governesses, I think, with some of that printable on the back. In a pocket, it's layered up with a watercolour image and some lace. Another printable here with wallpaper on one side and just a printable of some vintage paper. And again, it's got some lovely texture in it. There's a couple of vintage beads on the dangle. And on here we've got a little swing card with some swatching and bits of letter and printable that you can play about with. More of the Broderian glaze. And in this pocket we've got a lace and printable one with some ledger paper, and this is made with some embossed thick watercolour paper. And we've got another repro envelope here with some genuine vintage ledger paper for you to write on. And this is just a simple fold out with some of that original paper on it and a printable to back it. Some more of that paper and a bit of that crushed glass glitter, which I've got a bit of a craze on at the moment. And then in the back we have another pocket with some printables and marbled book paper, and this has got a journaling card with a vintage photo. I feel like I'd like to have a coffee with her. I'd like to sit down at the beachside cafe and get to know her a bit. And this was just another bit of the kit that I printed out onto some sticker paper, so you can do with that what you will. And there's the back cover. So there it is, By the Quiet Sea, which will be going up in my Etsy shop, or will be up by the time you see this video. So thank you very much if you've made it this far, and I look forward to seeing you next time with my next journals. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.